Hi everyone, welcome back sa aking channel. So for today's video, we will solve increasing and decreasing functions. So here is the question. So nanggaling ang question sa FP group na differential and integral calculus. So answer please, find the interval on which the given function f increase and on which interval f decrease. So f of x equals 2x cubed plus 9x squared plus 12x minus 3. So here is the definition. So let I equals a to b. Be any interval where y equals f of x is continuous and which does not contain any critical value of f of x. So there is no critical value in this interval a to b. So if f prime of x is greater than 0, so that means positive, for all a less than x less than b, so that means a to b, then f of x is increasing in the interval I. Then if f prime of x is less than 0 or negative, for all x between a and b, then f of x is decreasing in the interval I. So if we have given the graph of the function. So if the graph is given, we can easily see the interval for which the function is increasing or decreasing. Increasing if the graph rises from left to right. So for example, this is A and this point is B. Then this is C. So dito yan, tapat natin C, B, and then we have A, and then this point is ayan, E. Okay, so if the graph is given, we can easily see where the function is increasing increasing or decreasing. If the graph rises from left to right, so from A to B, it is increasing from A to B. And then from B to C, so the graph falls from left to right. So therefore from B to C, the graph is decreasing, and again from C to E is increasing again. So C to E is increasing. So we call B and C the critical value or yung critical number. So it can be the maximum point or the minimum point. So this point B is the relative maximum and this C is relative minimum. So to find the interval where the function is increasing or decreasing, so we will use this definition. So first step is find the critical value. We will find the critical value by first getting the derivative of this of the function and then equate to 0. So that point is the critical value or critical number. It can be the maximum or minimum. Then we can divide the interval from negative infinity to positive infinity into subintervals. So that subinterval we can solve where the function is increasing or decreasing. Okay, so let us answer number 1. I have 5 questions. Ayan, so 5 examples. Find the intervals where the function is increasing and where it is decreasing. Okay, so I have additional example number 2 to 5. So number 1, f of x equals 2x cubed plus 9x squared plus 12x minus 3. So let us answer. Okay, so meron na akong nireading table pala dito. So let us solve for number 1. First step in finding the interval where the function is increasing or decreasing is get the derivative. So get the derivative, f prime of x equals, so just use the power rule. So we have 3 times 2, so that is 6. Then subtract 1 to the exponent, so we have 6x squared plus derivative of 9x squared, so we have 2 times 9, so that is 18. Subtract 1 to the exponent, so we have 18x plus 12x, so the derivative of that is just the constant, plus 12, and derivative of negative 3 is 0. So then equate to 0. So let us equate to 0. So that's equal to 0. So solve for x. So as you can see, we have 6, 18, and 12. They are both all divisible by 6. So divide each term by 6, left side and right side. So if we divide that by 6, we have x squared plus 18 divided by 6. So that is 3x plus 12 divided by 6 is 2 equals 0. Then solve for x to find the critical value. So we can easily solve the value of x by factoring. So we solve by factoring equals 0. Factors of x squared, x and x. Factors of positive 2 are positive 2 and positive 1. Since the sum positive 2 times positive 1 is positive 3, then if we multiply 2 times 1 is 2. Then equate each factor to 0. So we have x plus 2 equals 0, and then x plus 1 equals 0. So subtract 2 to both sides. So therefore, the critical numbers are x equals negative 2 and subtract 1 to both sides. So we have x equals negative 1. So we can solve the interval. So these are the boundaries for the subintervals. So so gawa tayo ng table. So for the first column, so this we will write the interval. So interval. So from so our critical numbers are negative 2, and then we have negative 1. So therefore we have two critical numbers. So therefore we have three subintervals. So sobra yung nailagay natin. So intervals, we have negative infinity up to this point. So we have negative 2. And then next is between them. So we have negative 2 to negative 1. And then negative 1 up to positive infinity. Okay, so next is that our test value, let's say C. So see, just get one number for each interval. So we can choose any number in the interval, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, and so on. So let's try negative 10. Then we have negative 2 to negative 1. So let's try negative 1.5. And then negative 1 to positive infinity. So let's try 0. So 0 yung pinakamadali. Then we will get the f prime of C. So our derivative is f prime of x is 6x squared plus 18x plus 2. So it will be easier if we will use this. We will use this. So 6 just multiply by 6. So that 6 hindi naman affected na yan. So f prime of x, so that is also can be written as, so if we factor out 6, so we have 6 times x plus 2 times x plus 1. Okay, so just substitute. So dito natin ilalagay kung increasing or decreasing in the interval. Okay, so if we let's just substitute. So f prime of negative 10, f prime of negative 10, so that is equal to, we are only interested for the sign if it is positive or negative. If positive, so that is increasing. If negative, that is decreasing. So let's substitute negative 10. So we have 6 times negative 10, negative 10 plus 2, that is equal to negative 8. So we are only interested with the sign. So the answer is negative. So 6 is positive. And then negative 10 plus 1, so that's still negative. Then multiply negative times negative. So therefore, that is equal to positive. So positive, so therefore, the function is increasing in the interval negative infinity to negative 2. Okay? Then next for f prime of negative 1.5. So negative 1.5. So therefore we have 6 times negative 1.5 plus 2. So what is the sign? That is positive. Negative 1.5 plus 1, that is negative 0.5. So that is negative. Okay? So we have positive times negative. So therefore, the answer is negative. Therefore, decreasing. Okay? So dito nga natin ilagay. yung sign natin. So for -10, we have negative and negative. So the answer is positive. So therefore, it is increasing. Okay, and then last, we have 0, f prime of 0. So we have, so if this is 0, so we have 0 plus 2. So that is positive 2. And then if this is 0, 0 plus 1. So that is positive. So positive times positive is positive. Therefore, increasing again in the interval. So our point, -2, -1, these are the critical points. So it could be the maximum or minimum. So from increasing, so pataas, increasing to decreasing. So this is the relative maximum at -2. And then this one, negative to positive. So this is the minimum, maximum, and then minimum. Okay, so here are the answers. Negative infinity to -2, increasing in that interval. -2 to -1, decreasing. And then -1 to positive infinity is increasing. So the endpoints are not included in the interval. So because they are the critical points, -2 and then -1. Okay, so let's try number 2. So you have f of x equals x squared minus 9 squared. So first step, find the critical points. So we have f prime of x equals, let's use a chain rule for this. So since we have an exponent, so multiply the exponent here. So we have 2. Multiply natin dito. So we have 2 and then subtract 1, x squared minus 9. And then times derivative of u. This is the base. Derivative of x squared minus 9. So simplify, we have 2 times x squared minus 9. Derivative of x squared, that is 2x. Derivative of -9, so that is 0. So therefore, f prime of x is equal to, so let's multiply. So we have, that is 4x times x squared minus 9. So therefore, we have, yan. So let's now equate each factor to 0, or we can factor x squared minus 9 using the difference of two perfect squares. So we have a squared minus b squared. So that is equal to a plus b times a minus b. Okay? So we can factor out, this x squared minus 9. 9 can be expressed as 3 squared. So therefore, the simplest form of our derivative is 4x times x plus 3 and then x minus 3. Then solve for the critical values. Solve equate each factor to 0. So we have 4x equals 0. Then we have x plus 3 equals 0. And then x minus 3 equals 0. So solving for x, so divide both sides by 4, x equals 0. Then we have subtract 3 to both sides, x equals -3. And then add 3 to both sides, x equals 3. Therefore, we have 3 critical numbers. So kulang pala yung ating table. So therefore, so we have from -3, 0, and then +3. So add tayo ng isa pa dito. Okay, so yan ang ating mga critical numbers. So therefore, we have 4 sub-intervals. So this is C, and this is f prime of C, and then this is the increasing or decreasing. So first sub-interval is -infinity up to -3. Next is -3 up to 0, and then we have 0 to 3, and then last is 3 to positive infinity. Okay, so choose test number C in every interval. So let's try -infinity to -3. So we can use -10, or let's try -100, kahit anong number that is in this interval. So -3 to 0. So let's try -1. 0 to 3. So we can use 2. 3 to 8. So we can use 1,000. Okay, any number in the given interval. And then let's substitute. F prime of -100, f prime of -1, f prime of 2, f prime of 1,000. So let's just substitute in this function. F prime of x equals 4x times x plus 3 times x minus 3. So again, we are only interested in the sign. So we can just ignore the number 4. So let's substitute the sign. Only interested with the sign. So if x is negative 100, 4 times negative 100, that is negative. If x is negative 100 plus 3, so that is still negative. And then if x is negative 100 minus 3, so it's still negative. So therefore, 3 negatives, the answer is still negative. So therefore, decreasing. Okay? So next, negative 1. So negative 1, so this will be negative. X plus 3, so negative 1 plus 3, that is positive 2. So we have positive sign. If x is negative 1 minus 3, that is negative 4. So we write negative. Then multiply, negative, positive, negative. So we have 2 negatives. So therefore, positive increasing in this interval. Okay, so f prime of 2. So we have 2. So this is positive. 4x is positive. X plus 3 is again positive. X is 2. 2 minus 3, that is negative 1. So negative. So therefore, we have negative in this interval. So decreasing. And then for 1,000, so therefore we have obvious this is positive and then positive, positive because x is 1,000. So positive. So therefore we have, ayan, so increasing again. Okay, so let us draw the graph para makita natin yung share ko yung graph pala. Gamit ang GeoGebra, i-draw natin. So x squared minus 9, x squared minus 9, and then squared. Okay, so tingnan natin kung tama yung graph natin. Okay, so tama yung graph natin from negative infinity up to negative 3 is decreasing, pababa. Negative 3 up to 0. So pag dinaretso natin yan pataas, so increasing up to negative infinity to negative 3, negative 3 to 0 is increasing, and then decreasing, and then increasing again. Okay, so for number 1, let's draw the graph for number 1. For number 1, so let us show the graph for number 1. So we have 2x cubed 2x cubed plus 9x squared plus 9x squared plus 12x minus 3. Yun. So, okay. So, kita natin sa graph. So, graph natin ay is negative infinity up to negative 2 is increasing. Tingnan natin sa answer natin. Yeah, so we have negative infinity up to negative 2 increasing, pataas siya. And then negative 2 to negative 1 is decreasing. And then negative 1 to positive infinity is increasing. Okay? So ayan. So na-verify na natin na tama yung answer natin. Okay, so let's try number 3. Number 3, so just get the derivative. Get the derivative. So we have just power rule. So we have x cubed. So that is 3x squared plus 3x squared. So derivative is 2 times 3. We have 6x. And then 3 times x. So that is positive 3. So we can factor out the 3. So all are divisible. All are divisible by 3. So factor out 3. We have x squared plus 2x plus 1. Then this is perfect square trinomial. So therefore, f prime of x is equal to 3 times x plus 1 square. Because the middle term is twice the product of the square root of the first and the last term. Square root of x is x, square root of 1 is 1 times 2, so that is 2x. So therefore, it can be written as yan, square of the binomial x plus 1 square. Okay, so now we can solve we only have one critical number. So solve for critical number, just equate to 0. Okay, so just equate to 0. So we have 3 times x plus 1 squared equals 0. So divide both sides by 3. So we have x plus 1 squared equals 0. Get the square root of both sides. So we can cancel out the square and the radical. So therefore, x plus 1 equals 0. And then last, subtract 1 to both sides. So therefore, x is equal to negative 1. So therefore, we only have two subintervals, negative infinity to negative 1, and then negative 1 up to positive infinity. So this is our intervals. Then choose the test number and then f prime of c. Then this is the increasing, the remarks increasing or decreasing. So therefore, we can use, let's try negative 5. And then for this one, try 0. So if 0 is available, always use 0. Pinakamadali yan. Okay, so just substitute negative 5 to this. So we have f prime of negative 5. So any number that we can substitute here will be positive because of this square. Okay, so because it is ayan, so square. So f of negative 5, we have negative 5 plus 1. So that is equal to yan, negative 5 plus 1, negative 4. And naka-square, so therefore positive. Okay? And then f prime of 0. So if x is 0, so we have 1 squared, so still positive. Therefore, we have increasing in all values. So therefore, from negative infinity up to positive infinity is increasing. So walang part na decreasing. So ibig sabihin pag ginrap natin yan, pataas lahat from left to right. So i-drawing natin ang graph. So i-graph natin to show that increasing talaga yung function natin. So we have x cubed. So show lang natin plus 3x squared plus 3x plus 3x. So pakita natin, kailangan increasing. Ayun. So yung graph natin ay increasing. So from left to right, so kita naman natin. So ayan, pag extend pa natin sa baba, puro pababa lang yan nandyan. So then sa gitna, ayan. So increasing lahat. Walang part na decreasing siya. So dito medyo pumantay pero hindi pa rin bumaba. Ayan, so ito yung point na dito sa negative 1. So ito yung critical number natin, negative 1. So pataas pa rin dito. Ayan, pataas hanggang diretso dito. So up to positive infinity, pataas siya. So pwede pa lang mangyari yon. So increasing lahat, walang interval na decreasing. Okay, so next, number 4. Okay, so number 4. So we have, so medyo marami na. X to the 4th. So just get the derivative, y prime. We can substitute f of x for y. So f prime of x. So we have x to the 4th. So that is equal to 4x cubed minus 8 times 3. So that is 24x. Subtract 1 to the exponent plus 2 times 22. So that is 44x. X na lang siya minus 24. Okay, so medyo marami tayong critical numbers dito because the exponent is x cubed. So at least we have 3. At least we have 3 critical numbers. So equate to 0. Then let's try to factor this. Or all are divisible by 4. So let's factor out 4. So we have 4 and then we have x cubed minus factor out 4. So 24 divided by 4, we have 6x squared plus 44 divided by 4, we have 11x minus 24 divided by 4, again, we have 6 equals 0. By groupings, parang hindi rin pwedeng i-factor natin by groupings, ano? So therefore, we can use synthetic division. So synthetic division lang tayo para i-factor natin ito. So f prime of x is equal to 4 and then i-factor natin. So by synthetic division, trial and error lang tayo. So ang itatry natin by rational zero theorem ay yung mga factors of -6, factors of 6. So ang pwede nating itry plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 6. So by rational zero theorem, so ito yung mga pwede nating gawin na synthetic divisor. So kuhanin lang natin ng mga coefficients. So we have 1, -6, 11, -6. So start tayo sa pinakamadala, syempre 1. Okay, so trial and error lang to. So we have 1 times 1, we have 1. Subtract, we have -5. -5 times 1, we have -5. Subtract, or add pala, add. So add -6 plus 1, -5, 11 plus -5. So that is equal to 6 times 1, we have 6. So therefore, 0. Okay, 0 na siya. So therefore, pwede na itong ma-reduce as 1 is 0. So therefore, pag sa factored form, opposite nito. So we have x minus 1. And then, lagyan lang natin ito ng coefficient. So we have from x cubed. So this will become 1 x squared. And then x, ito ay constant. So therefore, we have 1x squared or x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Since the term now is quadratic, we can use factoring. So factoring na lang, x squared minus 5x plus 6. So madali nang i-factors. I-factor factors of positive 6 such that the sum is -5. So that is 6 or 1, both positive or both negative. And then 3 and 2, both positive or both negative since positive 6. So therefore, ano yung sum is -5? So therefore, we will use -3 and -2. So x minus 3 and x minus 2. So therefore, the factored form is equal to, dito natin isulat, f prime of x equals 4 times x minus 1 times x minus 2, i-arrange na natin, x minus 3 equals 0. Okay? So equals 0. So therefore, the critical numbers are just solve for equate each factor to 0. So pwede nang i-mental yan, di ba? X minus 1 equals 0. So therefore, x equals 1. X minus 2 equals 0. So we have x equals 2. And then x minus 3 equals 0. X equals 3. So therefore, ang intervals natin, i-start tayo sa pinaka mababang number. So 1, 2, 3. So sobra pa rin ng isa, no? So therefore, intervals, so negative infinity up to the smallest. So that is 1. And then we have 1 to 2. And then we have 2 to 3. And then last is 2 to positive infinity. So C and f prime of C. So we can use negative infinity to 1. So we can use 0. And then puro walang integer sa gitna. So we can use 1.5, 2.5, and 10 for this 2 to positive infinity. So let's just substitute in this factored form. So let's just ignore the 4. So we have f prime of 0 that is equal to, when x is 0, 0 lahat. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So we have negative times negative times negative. So therefore, we have 3 negatives. So that is negative. Therefore, decreasing in this interval. Okay? And then f prime of 1.5. So we have 1.5 minus 1. So that is 1.5 minus 1, that is positive. 1.5 minus 2, so that is negative. 1.5 minus 3, negative 1.5. So 2 negatives is positive. So therefore, increasing. And then f prime of 2.5. So we have 2.5 minus 1. So we have positive. 2.5 minus 2. So that is still positive. 2.5 minus 3 is negative. So therefore, 1 negative is negative, decreasing again. And then last, f prime of 10, it's obvious that this will become positive because all x are greater than negative 1, negative 2, and negative 3. So therefore, we have 3 positives. When multiplied is still positive. So therefore, increasing in this interval. So therefore, i-graph na natin. Let's draw. So decreasing, increasing, decreasing, increasing. So these are the intervals. So type lang natin. Type natin dito sa ating graphing calculator to prove that tama yung answer natin. Minus 8x cube plus 22x squared. 22x squared minus 24x plus 12. Okay. Where is the graph? Ayun. So there is the graph. Okay. So ayan. So kita dapat. So negative infinity up to 1. Up to 1 is decreasing. Pababa. 1 to 2 is increasing. Pataas. 2 to 3 decreasing. Pababa. 3 to positive infinity. Dire-diretso na yan. Pataas na siya. So ang graph ng to the fourth ay parang W. Okay? So tama ang ating answer. Then last example, delete na natin para sa ating last example. So we have y is equal to x squared minus x to the negative 2. So we have negative exponent. So let's just differentiate. So x squared derivative of that is 2x. Derivative of this is negative 2 times negative 1. So that is positive 2. X to the negative 2 minus 1, negative 3. So let us equate to 0. Simplify first. So we have 2x. So change to positive exponent. So that is equal to 2 over x cubed equals 0. So equate. So we have f prime of x equals 2x plus 2 over x cubed. Okay, so let us, or we can simplify this. We can simplify. So we have, or solve for the critical number, we have 2x plus 2 over x cubed equals 0. Multiply each factor to x cubed. Okay, or each factor, multiply each both sides by x cubed. We have x cubed times 2x plus 2 equals still 0. Okay, so now equate each factor to 0. So x cubed equals 0 and then 2x plus 2 equals 0. So x cubed equals 0, take the cube root of both sides. So therefore x is still 0. So 2x plus 2 equals 0, subtract 2 to both sides. Subtract 2 to both sides, 2x equals negative 2 and divide both sides by 2. So therefore, x is equal to negative 1. So the critical numbers are 0 and negative 1. So we put negative 1 here and then 0. So the subintervals are negative infinity up to negative 1. Then we have negative 1 up to 0. And then last is 0 to positive infinity. So let's just put the label intervals. So this is the C, f prime of C, and this is the increasing or decreasing. Okay, so we can substitute 2x plus 2 over x cubed. So it's not factored form. So therefore, but we can use this x cubed over 2x. We can use this x cubed over 2x plus 2 over x cubed or this expression or this one. But kapag ito ang ginamit natin, over x cubed dapat. So we have, or parang, ay sandali, parang may mali ata dito. Minultiply natin both side by x cubed. Both sides dapat sa kabila ay ito lang dapat yung i-multiply natin. So correction pala to. Correction natin, ulitin natin. Correction pa tayo sa last number. So multiply both sides by x cubed. So we have 2x and then x cubed, 2x to the fourth plus, this will be canceled out, x cubed over x cubed. So we have plus 2 equals 0. Okay, so we only have one critical value. So solve for x. So we have 2x to the fourth, subtract 2 to both sides equals negative 2. And then divide both sides by 2. So therefore, x is equal to negative 2 divided by, so we have, so this will be positive, no? So x is equal to negative, x to the fourth equals negative 1. So we have imaginary. Take the fourth root of both sides. X is equal to imaginary number to. So we have plus or minus I. So therefore, wala tayong ano dito. Walang interval dito. So isa-solve lang natin if this is increasing or decreasing. So walang tayo dito ng there is no critical point. So we can just solve if it is increasing or decreasing in the interval. In the interval, negative infinity up to positive infinity, because there is no critical value. So let's substitute number for this, but there is we have 2x plus 2 over x cubed. So there is discontinuity. So discontinuous, the function is discontinuous at x equals 0. Because when x equals 0, this is undefined. So therefore, yun yung magiging nating critical point 0. So hindi ko agad napansin yung discontinuity natin. So may discontinuity pala dito. Ayan. At x equals 0. Because at x equals 0, ang function natin ay undefined dito. So pag sinimplify natin ito, that is 2x to the fourth plus 2 all over x cubed. So same yun dito. So, pero baka malito pa, ay lagay na lang natin dito ay negative infinity up to 0 and then 0 to positive infinity. So let's use C. So mababang number na lang, negative 1 and positive 1. Okay, so let's solve f prime of negative 1. So it is not factored form, so there's no choice. Just substitute to this. So we have f prime of negative 1. So we have 2 times negative 1 plus 2 over negative 1 cubed. So therefore, the answer is negative 1 plus 2 over negative 1 cubed. So that is still negative 1. So therefore, we have negative 1 minus 2 times 2 divided by negative 1 is negative 2. So therefore, we have negative 3. Okay. So f prime of negative 1 is negative. So therefore, decreasing. Okay. So decreasing in this interval, negative infinity to 0. And then we have f prime of, so kahit anong number to, 1. So we have f prime of 1. So we have 2 times 1. So dito natin sinasubstitute. Plus 1 plus 2 over 1 cube. So therefore we have 2 plus 2 over 1 cube is still 1. So 2 over 1. So that is 2. So therefore the answer is 4, which is positive. Therefore, increasing. Okay, so yun. So kapag wala tayong, kapag may denominator pala tayo, discontinuous yan, may denominator, may variable sa denominator. So at yung discontinuity natin, pwede rin natin yung maging critical number. Hindi lang yung 0. Kasi yung 1 to 4 natin, wala tayong denominator. Okay, so for number 5, ang critical value natin ay nakuha natin sa kung saan undefined. So ipakita natin yung graph, x squared minus x to the negative 2. Kung tama, decreasing, tapos increasing, ang boundary natin ay 0. Critical number ay 0. So we have x squared minus x raised to negative 2. Okay, so tingnan natin. Tingnan natin, decreasing, increasing. Ayun, so tama ang graph natin. Ayan, so ito yung graph natin. From negative infinity hanggang 0, ayan, pababa siya. Tapos 0, papuntang positive infinity, pataas na lahat yan pag in-extend natin yung graph. Ayan, so kita nyo, pataas siya. Pabuka ng pabuka, ayan. Tapos dito naman sa ilalim, ayan, paliit naman yan. Discontinuity yung sa 0. So palapit ng palapit sa 0, asymptote natin yon. Okay, so tama ang ating solution. Discontinuity niyang 0. So negative infinity to 0 is decreasing and then increasing from 0 to positive infinity. Ayan, so negative infinity to 0, decreasing and then decreasing and increasing. Okay, so that's all. So kita-kita tayo sa susunod pang mga video tutorial para sa differential calculus. So thank you for watching. Bye-bye and God bless.